Yes, you've come to the right place, dear viewer. I'm happy to welcome you to Trust the Process, episode 91, where we are meeting the end boss of structural drawing, the human head. And this end boss will throw some curveballs, the complex structure, the complex anatomy of the human head, our heightened perception of human head proportions, and all those mean things we will be facing today. Question is, can we beat the end boss, or are we not good enough? Yeah, on that note, I'm happy to guide you through a learning session I did for the Marshall Vandruff Bridgman Bootcamp, highly recommended. And we're trying to simplify the complex human head into simple forms. Minecrafted, as Marshall Vandruff likes to say. And I'm so happy you joined. And let's get this thing going. For warming up the appetite of this learning session, I begin with Marshall's tutorial for the stomach muscles and stomach structure. And warm up and easy are two adjectives or two words I would put in quotation marks here. None of those are really easy, but compared to the head, they are more approachable, I think. And the way I went about this was to listen to Marshall talking, and I could listen to Marshall talking all the time, even if it's not about drawing. He has a beautiful way of describing things. And at the same time, I was concerning myself with the combination of structure and cross contour. So I established some basic blocks in 3D space for the pelvis and for the torso, exactly. And went and combined that with the cross contours, as I said. And this was feeling like winning against the first low-level grunt. It gives you confidence. It doesn't mean anything really, but it sparked the thought that I could beat this mean end boss. And off we go. Taking the warm-up to the next level, I was building a visual library. To be exact, I was still listening to Marshall, and he showed some beautiful head structures of George Bridgman. And I kind of went in drawing autopilot, listening to Marshall, and just drawing the heads I saw in Marshall's video, which were again drawn by George Bridgman, and he did some really awesome ones. This was a fun thing to do, and don't be fooled by when you're thinking, hey, this guy's just copying the reference material. I think it actually does more than that. It builds your visual library, and you get to experience the visual language of an absolute expert in his field. Yeah, this was feeling like after gaining confidence of winning against the low-level grunt, and more weapons were coming in, and we're starting to equip ourselves to face the next level. Yeah, and then the main event of the evening already started. Let's get ready to rumble. The main fight got going. And for this one, I went about to search for reference material. I visited pexels.com, which is an awesome site for free and high quality reference material. I was especially searching for portraits. And the way I went about it was to take those portraits and simplifying the shapes I saw. and did some basic scribbles of those faces to just visually get to know what I'm drawing. And then in the second step, I went about and tried to simplify those pictures into simple 3D forms. And as Marshall Vandruff calls it, seeing faces as architecture. Because it's really hard regarding faces, I think. We have this predefined conception of faces, and it's really hard, and you have to really force yourself to think about faces in a different way. You can think about them as machines, as rocks, as basic forms, so many more things. And yeah, I thought this was a really nice input, and I tried my best to Minecraft them. The trap I ran into here, I think, is my specific process to go from a detailed reference photo. Whereas in the workshop from Marshall, they were using Bridgman drawings as a starting point, which are already thought from the author himself, Bridgman, in a very three-dimensional way. Whereas my reference material was pretty detailed, and I got in the trap to trying to make my 3D forms too detailed. I will come back to this in the future, but this is a trap to be aware of. Yeah, otherwise I was fighting the end boss. I took some hits, but I also landed some hits on my own, and the fight continued. Yes, wrapping up my insights. First insight for me was, this is not a beginner task. It seems quite simple, but there are a lot of skills needed for this. So if you're just starting out, I would recommend for you starting with simple boxes and putting them into space. Drawabox.com is an awesome resource to do that. Also interesting, and one of my insights from Marshall is that there's not one way to simplify the human head. I mean, there are methods that are much more structured. The Loomis method, I think, I heard of. But especially the way Bridgman teaches it, there's really not that single way you have to go to, and this opens up a lot of creative wiggle room, but makes it a challenge nonetheless. And perhaps my most important insight here is that the trap of getting your 3D forms too complex can be avoided if you're thinking more in the way of adding more simple shapes and connecting them, instead of thinking of the face as one huge complex 3D form. This is exactly the mistake I did, I think, and it held me back. It held me back. And it's not, if you're familiar with 3D software, it's not meshing and placing single points in 3D space, but it's really taking two simple blocks, adding a third one, and thinking about how they connect and how they can be connected and where they're intersecting. And this was an eye-opener for me. And also, combined with this one is staying simple, really sticking to the simple 3D forms. Perhaps even make it a challenge, right? So take only squares, only boxes, or only cylinders, for example. And I think this is a general insight, is allowing myself to make bad drawings for the sake of learning. There's always this nagging doubt when drawing anything, it has to look good. I have to be able to show to my friends and they will think I'm a genius. But it's really not about that. It's really about learning, and therefore it can be helpful to allow yourself to make bad drawings for the sake of learning. Next insight you hear me talking about over and over is that Marshall is an awesome guy, and just the mere fact that this knowledge and this good-hearted person is putting out this great workshop for free on YouTube blows my mind. So again, check out the whole workshop. I will link it in the description below. Yeah, at the end, did we win again against this mean end boss, the structural head drawing? No, I think I didn't win, but at the end, I got to be a better warrior of drawing, and I hope you will be too. And I'm happy if I could have supported you in your mission to become a better drawing warrior also. And I'm so happy you joined, and wishing you all the best, and I'm out.